Just My Type Podcast.
Here we go. Hello, around the block and around the world. This is where we discuss, debate, and deliberate all things diabetes. Representing Type 2 in the house, my name is Dobie Maxwell. Representing Type 1, as always, the vivacious, effervescent, and always in the know, the lovely and talented Sami Parker. Sami, how you be?
I swear every time you say it, I get more excited when you give me my different adjectives.
Well, that's your moniker, like in professional wrestling. You know, you bring out the star and she takes over.
Well, I'm excited to announce our star for this episode is sponsored by Expression Med. They make thin, vibrant CGM tapes with hundreds of design options, and I'm actually wearing one on my Dexcom right now, which is amazing. I love how soft and thin these tapes are. They always let my skin breathe, and they actually hold my Dexcom in place for the full 10 days, which is shocking. So stay tuned through the episode for a special promo code.
Sami, this is going to be a fantastic episode because we get to be diabadasses. Isn't that a cool term?
Yes, the only time we get a cuss. Diabadass, baby.
Well, you like to do it. I got to shut you up off mic just in case you're listening. Sammy's
No.
it slips. I'm just kidding. But diabadass is a funny term, and I think that we're going to explore that a little bit more today.
Yeah, no, I actually had a insulin bag, like a diabetes bag that said, Je m'appelle Diabadass. I am a diabadass. My name is Diabadass. And I used it all the time, and I would be out places and everybody was like, what does your bag say? Because it was like upside down. And I would look and they were like, oh, and everybody would die laughing. Because it's like, nobody has really a cuss word just like on their bag that they have with them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I just had Diabadass in large block letters.
It almost sounds like the name of an album from like a punk rock band or something.
Yeah, it does.
You know, it's kind of coin your own term or something. What
Yeah.
constitutes a diabadass?
Well, I think something for me that I realized is I was lucky when I got diagnosed that I didn't really ever struggle with being open. I was never shy about it. And I was already like a very spunky, feisty kid, and I always have been.
No, you've been vivacious, effervescent, and always in the know.
Effervescent. There we go. Thank you.
That's what I always get. But the other spunky's good too.
So I was never quiet about it. And so I didn't really understand, like when somebody would say, I remember the first time somebody said to me, oh yeah, I know it's so hard because like my niece is really like shy and embarrassed about it. And I was like, I literally thought we were talking about something else. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like I thought we were talking about diabetes. What do you mean? Like, and she's like, no, like she's really embarrassed and shy about diabetes. And it was hard for me to wrap my head around because I was like, wait, what? Because I wasn't like more special than somebody else. I just didn't struggle with that. That wasn't like a trait I struggled with because I was just more like, bleh, and like didn't really care.
Right.
But it's interesting in the 9 years I've had it to see how many people are embarrassed by diabetes and like ashamed, not even ashamed, but want to go into the bathroom to take their insulin shots. They don't want to tell somebody their blood sugar's low. Like they have this embarrassment around it, but it's really hard for me to fathom because I just want to like squash it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
proud.
I like want to take somebody's embarrassment and be like, no.
Be loud, be proud.
Yes.
You are part of this world too.
Exactly.
Elbow your way through. Make room for the diabetics, type 1 or type 2.
Yeah. And I think that, I know we both had kind of pulled up some of our own statistics, but diabetes is such a prevalent thing. Like, it's like nobody's alone. Like, that's the best part. I was in middle school and I would go into the health office and finger prick. And the other girl that was diabetic, she would go into the like stall. And I was thinking to myself, girlfriend, I'm literally doing the same thing as you right now. Like, what's so embarrassing about it?
Well, I think, again, like anything, you know, education is a part of that. And that's one of the reasons that we're here on the Just My Type podcast. According to the Journal of Epidemiology and Global Health, 462 million people have type 2 diabetes. That's 6.28% of the world population.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of people. 462 million. That is more than the population of America and Canada combined.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. When you get into statistics, I was horrible in math in school. Were you good in math in school?
I would say, I'm not going to lie, I was pretty good at math. So I actually took AP stats. And I passed my AP exam. Oh, yeah. So I was happy about it.
Well, that's cool. So, but you're in the real minority. You're talking about type 1s. Now, type 2s, there's 90 to 95% are type 2. in America. 37 million Americans have diabetes and 29% of Canadians.
Yeah.
So you're in total, but to me, I'm kind of embarrassed sometimes because it comes on a little bit later, mostly for type twos. And you kind of, hey, let's go out for whatever to eat and drink. Well, I can't. I have type two. You have type two, then they go. We talk about that in other episodes.
Yeah, I honestly think there's probably not more, but I feel like a lot of type 2s I talk to have a lot more embarrassment because inevitably, for people with type 2, you can have individuals that are thin or heavier and get diagnosed with type 2. It has a tendency to be in more overweight individuals due to like excess insulin, but it can happen in individuals who are thin or who have a low body fat percentage. It could be genetic. So I think there's a lot of things that people believe about type 2 that like equate to being overweight or a certain perspective. And that's why I think it can be embarrassing to a lot of type 2s, but it shouldn't at all because it's your health.
It shouldn't be. And I will admit, I squelched it myself after the first diagnosis. In 3 months, I was off insulin and kind of
Yeah.
like an idiot. Like an ostrich, I stuck my head in the sand. Well, I got rid of it so I can eat whatever I want now. And then I didn't take my A1C or my blood sugar, glucose meter, anything like that. So that's not a way to do. I know I'm not alone in doing that. You think, well, I've beaten it. It's over.
Yeah.
That's not true either. And I guess I wanted to get it out of my mind because it's unpleasant.
Yes.
And again, we don't want to make it like a party and fun. We want to, this is a serious disease and you can laugh about it. It's not going anywhere.
No, I think that's why, like, okay, so for statistics as far as like type 1s and gestational, there's about, according to, I don't know what this stands for, but it's ACE, it's about 20 million individuals worldwide have type 1. And then for gestational diabetes, it's basically like 20 million or 16% of live births have had some fluctuation in blood sugar, and 84% are due to gestational diabetes. So that's like 1 in 6 births are by gestational diabetics, which is pretty wild.
Didn't know that at all. Now you talk about 20 million type 1s. At first, that kind of sounds low.
I'm not gonna lie, it sounded low to me.
And I think, you look back on it, well, the average person, I learned this from my buddy was a car salesman. He said the average person knows about 250 people, friends, relatives, contacts, acquaintances, not your close friends, but about 250. And you think, okay, that's everybody that you know. That's one person.
Yeah.
So 250 versus 20 million, there's a lot. 20 million is a lot worldwide. We don't think about it. Well, it doesn't sound like that many, but it is.
Oh, it totally is.
We're talking the whole world too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that because a lot of times you don't realize because you think of a number and you're thinking of like how many people are in a certain, state, and like you hear millions all the time. So you think 20 million, that can't be like that much. But really, when you're talking about it, one particular disease, 20 million is a lot.
Well, according to this, in 2020, the census of Canada said Canada has 38 million people. That's just in Canada.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I know California has got to see how much California has.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's unfortunate that there's so much embarrassment around diabetes when it's that prevalent. And I think that's where I know we wanted to talk about like the embarrassment and kind of like how to squash it. And to me, at least, I mean, it's almost like asking, I've seen this on Instagram before, but it's almost like saying, okay, so you're embarrassed to live. Like if somebody was to ask you, are you embarrassed to live? You would be like, no. Like, what kind of question is that? So when I see a diabetic that's embarrassed, I'm like, are you embarrassed to live? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, like, are you embarrassed to like have diabetes? That's what I want to ask them because that's what's keeping you alive. So it's like, okay, great. You can either deal with embarrassment or not be here. One of the two.
Yeah, I mean, you want to take your shot? I mean, what's really embarrassing about it? It's not pleasant to bring needles out because I know I've seen other people do it in public places. And I swear I was in a restaurant just a couple months ago and an older couple saw a guy doing it. The guy worked at the restaurant and they thought he was shooting up drugs right in the middle of the restaurant. I wanted to walk over and slap them both in a friendly and a customer service kind of a way.
Yeah.
Say, here's, the clue bat, bap, whap. But I thought, I think we need more education. And this is why we're trying to get it out this way.
Well, it is frustrating. Like, because I've always been very open with taking insulin shots or like saying, oh, I'm diabetic, or I have people talk about, my CGM or something. But I like want to right away be like, when they say, oh, how is that? Is that really difficult? Oh, do you feel like alone? Or, oh, that must be really tough at your age. And I'm like, yes, it is. All those things it is. But as far as like caring about what people think or taking shots anywhere, I'm like, I don't give a flying frick what somebody
Don't
thinks.
talk the shiz to me, Sammy.
Yeah.
Flying fricks and shizzes. We can't have that.
Yeah, no. And I even had a girl, and I think I told this I think this was in one of our episodes back in What Not to Say to a Diabetic, but I was in Tahoe and our family friend's friend was like, "Oh my god, oh my gosh, no. I can't look at you take the insulin. Like I can't look at you do the needle." And I was literally like,
Mm.
if I was like really embarrassed or somebody who was shy about it, like that would have been really tough. And it's like there's no reason. Like, sorry, your body naturally does it. I'm like, no offense, girlfriend. If you think it's weird that I'm doing it, your body internally is doing it. So you should look at yourself then as a freaking weirdo. But
Well, someone approached me about that. I just use an example, and it worked at the time, and I'll bring it up here. If somebody came into a place with a wheelchair,
mm,
would you look down at that person? I wouldn't.
no,
Okay, they're obviously not going to do it. If you're going to fake it to get a parking space, well, then you have your own kind of neurotic existence. But most people think this is what you need to exist, and you look around and say, "All right, not a problem." They build ramps at places, or if they don't, people help them, and that should be what you do. It's just part of life. That person has this particular condition. They're no better or worse than anybody else. You treat them as an equal. I think that's how it should go. Maybe I'm wrong.
I totally agree. And the other thing is like, I think there's this thing about being classified as a diabetic. I don't know if you've heard of it. Like when people are like, "Oh my god, don't say," it's like this whole like, ensemble of don't say somebody's a diabetic, don't classify them as a diabetic.
Ixnay
And
on the diabetic day.
I'm literally like what's funny is I literally identify myself as a diabetic. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm a diabetic." Because to me it's not again, by saying like don't classify somebody as oh, they're the diabetic because diabetes does not define them. Yeah, sure, it doesn't define me, but I am a diabetic and it's not embarrassing, which means it shouldn't have any negative context.
Well, I think it should be anything but embarrassing. In fact, it joins people together. Talk about the most diverse affliction that I can think of. Any diversity that you can think of, somebody is represented with diabetes there.
Totally,
Now,
yeah.
what do you think about this? I brought this up with somebody, and I think if we had a symbol, I don't know if it would be a sticker, a button, a wristband, a shirt, a hat, whatever it is that says I'm a diabetic type 1 or type 2. And if you saw that in somebody else, wouldn't you walk up to them in public? Hey, I'm a type 1. I'm a type 2.
Yes.
What's your name? What's your treatment? Do you listen to Just My Type, the diabetes podcast? It'd be a walking commercial for us, I think would be good.
Yeah,
Just
1000%.
for community. I don't know how to do that, but I think it's going to get to that point at
Yeah, I agree.
some point sooner than later.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is, like, if somebody was like, "How do you act like a diabadass?" I'm like, I think of, like, 3 quality traits that come to mind at least,
Mhm.
and the 3 is, like, the first one is be confident. That's just because it's like, there's no point in not being confident, like, why is it weird to have a CGM on you? Like, it's not weird at all, it's only weird if you allow it to feel weird or be weird, because it's, like, literally a health thing that's keeping you alive, so I it's hard for me to grasp because 'cause I'm like, everybody deals with something. And this is just something you deal with. I hate that people don't feel confident in it 'cause to me, it's like, it should actually make you more confident because 'cause you're like, "Yeah, I'm repping this fricking thing, and I'm."
Maybe you could have like a pepper spray, something like that, and you say, "Oh, you don't want to know what this is? Does this smell funny to you?" Psst, right in the face. There you go. You
Yes.
got smacked by the diabadass team.
Honestly, though, I'm like,
Spritz.
yeah. So my biggest thing is, like, be confident in it. That's my number 1.
I think be confident in life in general, but especially this. Hold your head up high. You're not a freak. You're not a wacko. 462 million people in the world are like you.
Mhm.
So roar like a lion and smile like a circus clown.
Yeah. I bet it's like 1 in 5. I'm sure if you were in a group of, like, 5 people and you were like, "Who has type 1, type 2, or gestational?" I'm sure 1 person would raise their hand.
One person would have all three. I got all three.
I have
And
all
I'm a
3, I
guy.
win.
I got gestational.
Yeah. Dobie is gestational.
What's number two? You said you had three. What's number two?
Number 2 is to be resilient. And I think this comes in because with diabetes burnout, which is so prevalent and is such a common thing. I mean, I feel it probably twice a week, but learning how to take that burnout mode and the toughness of having a finger prick and give insulin shots and like building that thick skin and being resilient and like realizing basically, I have this. Yes. Does it suck at times? Totally. Have I learned from it? Yes, and I'm gonna use it to move forward and grow.
Well, the thick skin, literally. I mean, you run out of
You
fingers
do,
after a while. I
yes.
mean, seriously, it's a physical.
No, it's very true though, and I think that, it's a difficult thing, but it's like how you recover and how you come back from it and how you handle it. And so I think being resilient is a really important trait as a diabetic.
Did you ever see the movie Rocky? I know that's old time. Your dad was seeing it. It's a Sylvester Stallone.
No, I think I have.
That's okay.
I don't know, but I know what it
He
is.
plays a boxer. and he's very resilient. He keeps getting beat up and he keeps coming back. And I think that was just the first thing that I thought of that would be similar to what you're talking about, but resilience. Yeah, he's the spokesman for resilience.
Yeah. I think it's like almost like, when you toss a baby or like if you have a baby and you're like throwing them around, like
Oh, I toss babies all the time. Here, catch.
in the
2 boys and
hospital.
a girl. We'll juggle.
My sister works in a hospital setting and she's in postpartum and she's like, Samantha, they just no. I mean, you just toss the babies. Like there's no delicacy there. And I'm like, yeah, because even in my undergrad, we learned babies are really resilient. They're able to recover quickly. And then for some reason, I don't know if it's the world we live in now or like 'cause it's 2022, but it's like you have to walk on tiptoes around everybody. Everybody's feelings can't be hurt. Everybody's got to be given the best lollipop. And it's like, no, just recover quickly. Shiz happens. Shiz hits the fan. And you just got to roll with it.
It's funny. I had a nephew. He's adult now, but he was a kid. He would fall
Mhm.
all the time, and he had blonde hair like Ric Flair, the wrestler. So he would hit his head on
What are they called? They're called something when they have like bleach blonde hair. Toe thumbs? No.
I don't know the term for it.
There's a name for it.
A lot of
Sorry,
pro
go.
wrestlers do. So anyway, my nephew Josh, who I love to this day, would bounce his head off an end table or a chair or something, and he would cut up just a little in the forehead, and he would bleed like a stuck pig. And you took him into the emergency room, and he wouldn't cry when he did it. We got so used to him hitting his head. It's like, okay, we'll put something cold on your head, take it, and then the emergency room, oh, it's a baby. And then it's like, well, then he would start crying because everyone else got so uptight around him.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And then my last one is to be selfish. And that's going to sound really weird,
Mhm.
but that's I think it's the other number one quality is to be selfish with diabetes. And people are going to hear me and like, what? But you have to prioritize your health. You have to be selfish. If you know that you eat at these amount of times and somebody's trying to have you waiver or whatever, great. Like flexibility is a huge thing. And if you are not flexible, it can make it harder at times. But you have to be selfish with your time. Like you have to know, okay, I'm not feeling well. I'm not going to go out right now because there's no point in leaving the house. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a really important one
It is important.
because it's like you have to be able to take your health for yourself.
We do. I'm going to be selfish now because we got to pause for the cause. Take a quick break. This is Just My Type, the diabetic podcast. She is Sammy Parker, type 1. I am Dobie Maxwell, representing type 2. We will be right back. Please join us. Stay with us.
Have you ever tried customizing your CGM? I'm obsessed with choosing a design that matches my mood, outfit, or even the season. That's why I love Expression Med Tape. With over 200 designs, I can choose between conversation starters, like giraffes with sunglasses, something more sophisticated like black marble, or keep it simple with a blending skin tone. If you haven't browsed through their collections yet, you must. It's like an art gallery of tapes you can wear. You know that Dexcom itch so many of us have experienced? Expression Med's tapes are so great for sensitive skin that they made an underpatch out of their material to help people who became allergic to the Dexcom adhesive. Talk about a brand you can trust, am I right? I'm actually currently wearing the Overcast tie-dye tape. It's been 3 days and the tape is looking so amazing and intact. My favorite part about these tapes is honestly that I don't even notice it's on me, and it's fashionable. Don't wait to try it out for yourself. Go to expressionmed.com and find the tape that fits you. Use JMT15 to get 15% off your first order. Go check it out now.
The Diabetes app is an online community platform that was created to help people living with diabetes find support and information in one spot.
On the Diabetes app, you can join groups and connect with other people all over the world and find tips that actually make a difference.
And now, while you're using the app, you can collect points and earn rewards.
Wait, you're confusing me. What do you mean?
What I mean is the Diabetes app now gives you points anytime you like, comment, or post. You can collect these points and exchange them for rewards. We're talking promo codes, accessories, and more free gifts.
Whoa, I like the sound of that. So you're saying I can earn free rewards just for doing what I already do?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Keep using the Diabetes app, connect with others, find tips, and get rewarded for doing so. We are back, Sami and Dobie. Sami, I love this badass mode.
I know. Wait, side note, I have to say this. It is towhead, like toe, T-O-E, head.
Oh, you talk about the blonde thing?
Yes, but there's a debate. I found it. It's either towhead, T-O-W head, or towhead, T-O-E. But it's an expression that was like made a long time ago for like kids with bleach blonde hair.
But he wasn't bleached though. My nephew, he was naturally blonde.
Oh, No, that's what I mean. I just mean, like, really
Oh,
blonde
it
hair.
was really, yeah. But the wrestlers are the ones that you usually see that.
Yes, they actually do.
It's funny we're talking about the diabadass topic today. My dad was a biker. That's really true. It is a fact. He
Mhm.
rode with a gang, and he was all kinds of badasses. And you talk about the points that you made. Selfish, yes. Confident, yes. They'd walk into a place and everybody would scatter because these big bikers came in and they had leather jackets on, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I have a type 2 tangent today, if that's cool with you. I'm
Okay,
going
tell
to
me.
pop the clutch and get into it. We, as a diabetic community, type 1 or type 2, are a legitimate minority. We're talking about that. We are here. There are 462 million of us worldwide. We have more listeners in America. 37 million Americans are type 2. 5 to 10% are type 1. Canada, 29% have diabetes. We are not going away. We've been here for years. We have a legitimate disease. It is a condition. It is a medical situation that we have to deal with on a daily basis. We're polite. We try to be as open as anyone else's needs. We have needs too. That is my soapbox for the day. Don't you think? I mean, we don't have to be jerks about it, but we are here.
Yes, it kinda make us sound like we're, like, a species that, like, was here forever, and we've been here. We're like the gnats, you know? They never go away. They're always here.
No, they never go away, but I think it's just we're so diverse and different that it's not just a group. You know, my dad's biker group, they were called the Outlaws, and they had a patch on the back of their jackets.
Yeah.
And oh, they're outlaws. They dress, they look, they act like outlaws, like badasses legitimately. I don't know if any were diabetic. A few of them use needles. That's another story for another podcast. Today, we as diabetics are like the hidden minority. We are incognito. We blend into society.
I almost feel like it should be, like, on a driver's license where it's like,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
on it.
absolutely. Sure.
I know this is probably my ignorance on other diseases, but I feel like diabetes is it's a disease that it's not something that you take medication for or it can't be, it's so manageable
Hmm.
that it almost makes it a character trait in itself of like, "Oh, they're diabetic, I'm gonna put this on the license," because there's so many of us. It's not like it's just, like, still a disease that they're figuring out and you take medication, it goes into remission or anything. It's like, no, it's here, it stays, it's a thing, and there's a lot of freaking humans with it.
Well, also, I think the pre-diabetics, I don't think there's millions more of those that are coming into the fold. It's like, you got your application filled out, baby. You are coming into the club.
Yep. No, really.
Yeah, that really is true. So I don't know. We want to do it in a friendly, in a customer service kind of a way, but we got to raise awareness. A flag, a symbol, a logo, a something. It's like, oh, you are, we are. Yes.
I know, I was almost like I'm gonna get myself, like, a little ribbon tattoo.
You know,
It's like the diabetes ribbon
a
tattoo.
tattoo wouldn't be a bad thing either. Do you have any tattoos?
No. I don't actually. I'm, like, the only person I think.
You're the only person in the state of California that doesn't have a tattoo.
Yeah, basically.
It's funny because they're so hip now and everybody's getting them. I looked at my father as a kid and he had them up and down both arms and both legs. And I didn't even know he had them on his leg because he never wore shorts. He went in for heart surgery when I was about 12 or 13 years old. And they had him in a hospital gown and he had these tattoos. And that's, I guess you see it now, but you surely didn't see it then.
No.
So the nurses treated him like he's a leper. He's the only one, but that, he's all proud of that. But again, I think I hate to say it, the sense of community that those bikers had was more loyal and pure than a lot of times I see with the sense of that diabetics have. You were talking about
Mhm.
embarrassed, not confident, want to go in a corner somewhere.
Like, for me, I'm over there I use it to my full advantage. I'm like, I say it to everybody and their mothers. I've tried to have my job based on diabetes. I'm doing my school program based on diabetes. I'm like that person that goes, "Diabetes is life." And it's like, we even have, like, our own language, you know? I mean, we have that episode, Diabetes Jargon. You guys should go listen to it. It's really funny.
Well, it's funny, but it's also practical. It's terms,
Yeah.
everything. Plumbers have their own jargon. Every group, social group, a lot of times ethnicities have their own words.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
same thing with the diabetic community. 462 million people. We got a lot of shared
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah. That's why when I meet somebody, it's like, right off the bat, I hit it off with them if they're diabetic. I'm like, wow, they just get me on a different level.
Well, it's funny because they always know somebody. If they don't, well, like you said, we talk about this. My grandma had it. Well, okay.
Yeah. It's even nicer though if they have a close friend, because if they have a best friend, you're like, okay, they get it.
I have a conjoined twin. I don't have it, but she has it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that she has it,
Yeah.
so.
Sami, every episode we do gets faster and faster. I don't know what it is. These are so fun. We get going and then it's over.
I think it's because I get to hang with you. I'm like, yes, I get to hang with Dobie.
I do like it too. I think not only are we a bridge to the diabetic community, we're also the age gap. My generation talks about, those young ones. Well, we created your generation, number one. And number two,
Yeah,
it's
you
like we're
did.
trying to be open and understand. So that's a good thing. And we have a question in the pod today, correct? We always do.
Yes. Question of the pod is, what is one character trait you have to be a diabadass?
I think one we forgot to mention, I was going to throw this in there at the end, is moodiness. And sometimes I can do with blood sugar.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yes.
I mean, I think a lot of times women, the badass guy, they want to tame that guy, the bad boy.
I think that's a great one.
Yep, we got off on a tangent there. So I'm thinking, you're happy one day, next day, just don't mess with me.
No, it's true. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm not in the mood today. So that is one character trait to be a diabadass for sure.
So engage with us. We'd love to hear from you. How can we do that, Sami?
Yeah. So please, again, subscribe, rate, review, share on our social media, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at justmytypepod_, Facebook at justmytypepod, and our hashtag justmytypepod. Again, please respond. What is one character trait you have to be a diabadass? And again, also, month is April, and we are having a Just My Type of Walk challenge. And so I thought of this just now because I'm actually about to go on a walk. But the Just My Type of Walk.
Me too.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yay. Well, then this is good.
We're 2,000 miles apart. I asked you to, want to go walk, but it'll take me a while to get out there. But keep
Well, we
going.
can try. So we have a challenge this April, and it's the Just My Type of Walk challenge. And basically, you can enter every single week for the month of April, and you can enter as many times as you want, but you have to go on a walk and take a selfie of yourself on a walk or a screenshot of the amount of steps that you went. And you can tag us at any of our social media, anywhere. So if you tag us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and every time you tag us and go on a walk and take a picture of it or your steps, you'll be entered in for a chance to win a prize at the end of every week in April.
Now, there's an International Podcast Association that makes a spanking announcement to keep it safe. Don't walk across the freeway while you're taking a selfie.
No,
a lot of times people get
do
into their
not.
whole thing, counting your steps, go into an open space, maybe a mall somewhere,
Yes.
parking lot, outside, wherever it is. But yes, contact us. We want to see you.
Sidewalks are encouraged. But yes, this is Just My Type of Walk challenge. And challenge other people too. Like, spread the word, share it.
And you can listen to our episodes when you're walking too. So that's a good thing. One shout out before we go. Tammy Keynes is listening. She was a big fan of Billy Gardell. We have an episode recorded with Billy Gardell from the show Mike and Molly. If you haven't listened to it, go back, check it out wherever you get your podcasts. So thanks, Tammy, for listening. Let's put a cherry on the sundae. Sami?
Say la vie, baby.
This is the Just My Type podcast.